a traditional publisher makes an investment in an author. 9 out of 10 they lose on, but that 1 out of 10 will pay back for the rest of all of the other folks.
This is Ron Pramshafer, and welcome to Publish Basics Radio, where weekly we try to help you navigate the self-publishing minefield. Today's guest is David Maturo, former VP of Finance of Xlibris, an internet-based print-on-demand publishing company. Dave, what's the difference between a conventional publisher, a self-publisher, a vanity publisher, a subsidy publisher, and a book printing service? And which one is Xlibris?
Xlibris is what we call a self-publisher, and the difference is a traditional publisher makes an investment in an author. So you have Random House, or they spend a great deal of money marketing that author, building that author's repertoire, and then they actually do an enormous print run of books, hundreds of thousands, if not millions. It's a huge upfront cost. 9 out of 10 they lose on. Not everybody is a Grisham. Mm-hmm. But that 1 out of 10 will be a Grisham and will pay back for the rest of all of the other folks.
Okay.
Now, a self-publisher, a company like Xlibris, is we require the author to make an investment in himself or herself. Okay, so that means that the author actually pays to be published. They pay to get data entry, copy editing, to get their book laid out, and they buy their own copy. So that's the fundamental difference, the difference in the investment.
Okay, and how does that differ then from a vanity press or a subsidy press?
You're making the same investment, but basically your end result is a stack of books that you could put in your garage. Mm-hmm. You're also buying maybe a couple of thousand of books along with the publishing service, and you do whatever you need to do with them, and it's up to you to market and manage your own books from there. Now, a self-publisher will do something similar. You're still making the same investment to get published, but there's a print-on-demand aspect to a self-publisher that a vanity press doesn't have. So we don't print books and give the authors a supply of books for them to stack in their garage or their basement or whatnot. We actually print the books upon order. So there's no inventory, no warehousing, things like that. Essentially, then the author can then sell their book, and then we'll print and distribute the books as needed.
Okay, now, basically, you can't be a self-publisher without you, self, being the publisher.
Right.
And the only way that you, self, can be the publisher is to go out and buy 10 ISBNs and basically start a publishing company. Now, with Xlibris, the author doesn't own the ISBN, correct?
Well, technically, that's a good point, actually, Ron. We're a self-publisher, but we've often called ourselves a publishing services provider, almost like an internet services provider.
Uh-huh.
And in that way, we are a tool, a portal, so to speak, for an author to go to the market. So, what does that mean? And that means that we purchase the ISBN. So when you look up that ISBN in Bowker's Books and Print, you'll see that that's an Xlibris publication. However, technically, the publisher of the book in the front matter on the copyright page of the book is the author.
Okay, but the publisher of record technically is Xlibris.
That's right.
Okay, so you heard of Vantage Press?
Yeah.
Okay, so the main difference between Vantage Press, which I think they don't even really hide the fact that they're a vanity press, and oh God, they've been around forever. The difference between Xlibris, say, and Vantage Press would be the fact that you don't fill the garage full of books?
Yeah, that's one piece, and the other piece is that we really try to provide a suite of products and services to help an author, whereas a Vantage Press is they lay out your book, they print your books, they pop them in your garage, and that's the end of the story pretty much. With us, it's, like I said, we could do the data entry, we could do the copy editing. We also provide a suite of marketing services to help people sell their books. We write up a press release, for example, or put a press release on a news wire. We sell them posters and book signing materials. Things of that nature. But other than that, there aren't too many other demarcations.
Okay, well, how about the difference between, because I know if, 99% of the people that are going to be listening here know where Google is, know how to enter self-publishing, and you come up with a whole slew of people. Okay, and Xlibris is probably up there in that first page. And you got places like Author House and iUniverse. Are they pretty much the same as Xlibris?
Yeah, that's correct. Well, let's see. Author House is almost exactly like Xlibris. They're a self-publisher. iUniverse technically is a self-publisher, although what they've been doing, they've been trying to migrate away from the traditional model. And here's what I mean. iUniverse signed up, I believe it's with Kensington Press, and what they do is they're now more selective with their publication. So companies like Xlibris, Author House, with the exception of pornography, hate literature, and just nonsense in general, Xlibris and Author House, they will publish any content. That we don't discriminate against content. That's the business model. The business model is that regardless of your content, whatever you want to write about, we believe that there's no reason that you shouldn't be able to make it to the market, and your audience should be able to see your book and be able to read your book.
All right. When reading through the Xlibris brochure, and I've read most of these other companies' brochures too, everybody seems to make a big point or a big selling point that the author retains all the control.
Yeah.
And I guess that's a difference between, I don't know, the old vanity presses. I mean, what's this mean really, that they retain the control? I mean, they retain the copyright, right?
They retain the copyright. They are, in fact, they own the rights of the book, which means with no strings attached. Which means that, okay, so I published a book with Xlibris, and a major traditional publisher says, wow, this is fantastic, I want to publish your book. They can go immediately and go right to that publisher with their material, and they can publish their book. They don't have to sign a release to get their materials back from us. Now, the end product that a self-publisher creates, the end PDF file, the end book, is the property of the publisher. However, their original manuscript is theirs.
So the fee that they pay up front doesn't really cover the printing file? You say the publisher owns the printing file?
Correct, because the publisher has put in their own work and their own institutional practice into the book, so that the publisher then owns that piece of it. However, the original work is still the author, and that's not always the case with the traditional, or I'm not sure about the vanities, but it's definitely not the case with a traditional publisher.
Why do you think it's such a big deal, these services not wanting to give up that digital file?
You have a revenue stream when the customer comes in. And forgive me for saying the words revenue stream with the customer, right? So
okay.
We
all got mortgages. We all have to eat.
Exactly. We all believe in the greater good of bringing the content to the masses, but at the same time, this is a business and we need to survive.
Mm-hmm.
And so when a customer joins us, there are a few opportunities to gain revenues from a customer. And those areas are the publication revenues and then the book revenue. And some of our analysis is that we can reduce the price of our publication service, and forego some revenues in order to then enjoy book revenues toward the end. And that's good for the author, it's good for the company, it's good for everybody. So to give up the digital file would then basically harm that revenue stream and not make the model work as well.
Because it would be easier for people to leave?
It'd be easier. People can go get their books printed anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You don't necessarily have to. Once you have that file, you can present that file to any printer, and printers are, forgive me for saying that, there are legion throughout the country. So you can get your book printed anywhere. So we prefer to keep it all in-house.
All right. Now, just out of curiosity, what are the average number of books sold per title?
Well, as you know, it could run the gamut. We've had some authors who literally have sold no books or one or two books, and some authors who have sold thousands of books, some over 10,000. Typically, when you average all of that out, statistically speaking, we see that the average customer sells about 150 units per title.
So out of the 150 books, what would you say percentage-wise, people buying books themselves?
Yeah, typically 64% of all the books sold are authors purchasing their own book.
So when it's all done, okay, the average person is going to sell, 150 books, out of which 60% are going to come to him, be bought by himself. What do you think is the average expenditure per author?
Well, we know that for Xlibris, and we know that through conversations with other players in the space, that it's anywhere between $1,000 and $1,500. Our experience has been close to $1,000. People will buy, and they typically buy another $400 of ancillary services to go along with it. So purely in the package they pick, it's around $1,000 per customer. And then people will buy things like your copy editing, your data entry, marketing services, and they'll spend somewhere around $1,400. in the life cycle of their publication.
Okay, and plus the books that they buy for themselves.
Yeah, that doesn't include the book.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Dave, thanks for giving us the inside scoop. It's been great talking to you. I think it went real well, Dave.
Great to be a part of it.
For Publishing Basics Radio, this is Ron Cramshafer. See you next week.